What is up, guys? Today's video is going to be something a little different. I'm going to talk about and break down 4 beliefs of aspiring data scientists and how those beliefs are changing. And just to preface, these beliefs were distorted or incorrect, and there has been truth that has been brought to change or at least bring change to these beliefs in a way that is closer to ground truth. But then if people see this ground truth and then their beliefs change and drift off in this way, they can drift too far the other way. And then I'll talk a little bit about what that other extreme pole would look like. Some of these have happened, some of them haven't happened yet, but anyway, without further ado, I'm going to get into it. So the first one is about a belief about machine learning. Now, the old belief was that it was all about machine learning. There are programs and boot camps that would go right to talking about machine learning. They won't even discuss the math or anything like that. They would go right to the machine learning. And the first thing they would have you doing was literally just like using machine learning models. And they put a ridiculous amount of emphasis on the machine learning aspect of data science. Now, the truth came out that it really turns out to be that a data scientist only spends about 20% of the time on average actually building models and actually working on machine learning. Most of the time is spent on data wrangling and working on getting the data and all that stuff. So it became more and more apparent that it's not all about machine learning. So this hasn't happened yet, but potentially with more and more people bringing awareness to the fact that machine learning isn't, at least from a time standpoint, isn't actually the main role. And also, not to mention, a lot of these frameworks and other technologies have made machine learning really, really easy to implement, such that it doesn't really take much human effort. And it's more so about the data processing and all that. But another distortion could be that people might start thinking that machine learning is completely useless and just not even learn it, not even bother, and just throw everything into a canned model, which may or may not work. So that's the first example. The second one is the skills needed. So traditionally, people thought that you needed a plethora of skills, technical skills, from all these data visualization libraries, pandas, all these machine learning libraries. Like, the assumption was that you needed to know everything, and the job descriptions were reflective of that. There were jobs that expected data scientists to know literally everything. Nobody can know everything, but yeah, they, and I've seen it on people's profiles on LinkedIn. They're saying all their skills, and they're just listing all these technologies, all these libraries, all these frameworks, and the list just goes on and on and on. And you got to know all these coding languages. You got to know how to use all these libraries, all these frameworks, and all this stuff. But the truth started to come out that a lot of people lack the soft skills, lack the social skills, to say the least, to effectively do their job. So, they're not able to, they may be really smart and know how to do all these things, but they're not able to communicate with their stakeholders in their company properly, on like the implications of their project and what it's going to do for the company and all that. And just in general, not really being able to work with others very well, and just kind of being like a bunch of skills, but just in a silo and not really able to help anybody. So a big hit of truth here has been that, the soft skills are actually important, and social skills especially are really important. And that's why there's a book, People Skills by Analytical Thinkers. I highly recommend reading it. Really good book. It kind of talks about this somewhat, and talks about really mastering your own beliefs on yourself and how you behave as a human, and your how you interact with people, and social skills and all that kind of stuff, and in communication skills. in a work setting. But soft skills like that, as well as also skills like leadership and just like, basically just being a capable human. um, and these skills are really important for any job you're going into, any role really. But this new distortion that's possible is, and this one has not happened yet. This is just hypothetically speaking. But if that belief kept continuing to enter the market, it could end up being that people think that they don't need to learn any technical skills, and you don't need to know how to code, and you don't need to know anything. You just have to be good with people. Now, I will say that honestly, in most cases in life, like just being good with people will probably get you farther than any like specific skill knowledge. But still, at the end of the day, if you're in a particular domain in the tech field, in technology, and you just have people skills, that's not really going to work out. You'd probably be better off in sales or something. So that is one thing. And another one is the education needed. And this one is, so traditionally you needed like a master's or a PhD to be a data scientist. That's really not true. But yeah, and I mean, there was a point where you probably actually needed it, but with the internet, all this information has been really widely accessible, and companies find that the most important thing is that you're able to actually deliver the value and actually bring value to the business. It doesn't really matter what your education level is. So that means that even though a lot of these job descriptions say college or whatever, in theory, you don't actually need to go to college, provided you can give the value. However, so that's the truth, right? It doesn't really matter what your education is as long as you can give the value. But there's something else, is that you still need to have critical thinking ability, and you still need to be pretty smart, and you need to understand the business context, and you definitely need to know things, even though you don't necessarily need the piece of paper. And I'm going to use myself as an example because I was actually an example of too far on the other distortion. So for me, and I'm not saying I probably could have gotten a role. There's a lot of things I did wrong. There's a lot of stuff that was my fault. I'm not saying 100% that what I was trying to do was impossible, but I did a data science boot camp. I was 19 years old. I did a 6-month boot camp, one of the best boot camps out there. And I was not able to get a job because here's the thing. Now, this might just be the story I tell myself. So if you think that it's different in the comments, please leave a comment below if you think that I'm just telling a story and that's just a justification for me not doing well. I'm open to that being a possibility, but I do think there are some legit reasons preventing me from getting a job. Aside from the fact that I don't really think I did the work necessary. But when I was trying to get a job, I was 19 years old and had really my only work experience was working in the meat department at Kroger, which is like the largest grocery chain in America, basically. I was just working this meat boy, cutting up steaks and fish fillets and whatnot. And just stocking working with some inventory, just doing some basic work for like $12 an hour, $12 an hour. And I didn't really know how the world worked yet. I was still too young to really have much. I mean, I probably am still now, but like I didn't really have the understanding I have now, even now, of how the world works. And I didn't really know how to think. And it's not like I was dumb or anything. I was just 19 years old. I didn't really have that understanding. I didn't really know how things worked. And aside from that, I had no like domain or business or industry to apply this to. I didn't really have any industry knowledge. I barely even knew how my own industry that I worked in worked. So I was too far on the other side about not having credentials, not having a degree, to the point where I was just a 19-year-old kid with no world experience, essentially. I'm not even talking about work experience. I literally said world experience because I just didn't understand basic things. Okay. And I want to stress everyone else in that group was able to land a job. Um, at least the vast majority. I mean, there were some people that gave up and didn't finish, but everyone that actually finished was able to land a job. So this I don't know. But anyway, that's all I'm saying. But I'm not saying that hasn't been a trend. That was just me doing my own thing. I want to make that clear as well. The only one that started to actually become somewhat of a distortion, like the opposite distortion became a trend, is this last one. So the last one I'm going to talk about is how to job hunt, how to go about actually looking for a job. So traditionally, and this was the case with a lot of jobs, not just data science, the traditional belief was all these jobs are they're listed on Indeed and all these Glassdoor and all these job listing platforms. The way to get a job, the best way to get a job, the fastest way to get a job is you just apply for as many jobs as you can. Just sit on your computer and apply for jobs. It seems very logical, makes sense. Most of these jobs are listed online and you can apply for them. And you just chuck your resume out. But there's some truth came that, you're just a no. And basically, when you're checking out your resume like that on an online platform, you're just a number. And it's really a lot of people, they'll just blow right past your resume and not even see it. Now, one truth that's being neglected here is that there are things you can do to your resume to make it not get tossed and not get cast to the pile. But even such, it still happens. These companies get, they may only be looking for like 5 people. They'll get 10,000 applications. So it really is a numbers game in that sense. So the new belief became that actually networking is effective. So what you want to do is you want to go to networking events and talk to people other professionals in the field that already have jobs, and get to know recruiters and all this stuff, and use LinkedIn to make new connections and meet people and attend events and find events to attend and all that stuff. And that's great because you're able to kind of form more personal relationship with the people that could be hiring you, which means you're actually a name and a face and a voice rather than a number and a piece of paper with some credentials. So it's a lot better, and it can often for a lot of people be a lot more effective way to get a job. But then they went too far with this, and the boot camp I did, they literally were just like, don't even apply for jobs. Don't even apply for jobs. So literally just go on LinkedIn, and they recommended reaching out to a minimum of like 8 people a week, but it was really more like you should do 5 plus a day, five to 10 a day or something. Reach out to like 5 to 10 new people on LinkedIn that work at companies that you want to work at or in your role that you want to have, or they're not recruiters, but they're like HR people. Just meet these people, connect with them on LinkedIn, and basically just connect with them over DMs and set Zoom calls to have a chat with these people. And that's all you need to do. And just, ask about, are you hiring, and ask about getting a job, but just have a chat with these people. And that's all you do. You just reach out to like 5 people a day and basically ask them, try to set a time to have a chat with them. And not even apply for any online jobs unless, and they literally said, like, if you find that a company has a job listing, instead of applying for the job, you need to go out and reach out to the HR person at that company and ask them about the job. And then they'll tell you to apply for the job, and then you apply for the job, and then they at least you're somewhat in the queue because at least they know your name and they know who you are and they know you want the job. And this really didn't work out too well. This really had a lot of people that were just stuck, and they weren't getting they were getting interviews somewhere, but a lot of people weren't getting interviews, or they at least weren't getting as many interviews as they could, because, you know, if even with these low rates and how many, the ratio of applicants to um, even with the ratio of applicants to, what am I trying to say, to to openings, like they're trying to get like 5 employees and they got like 10,000 applications, stuff like that. So even with that ratio, if you do enough applications, you're still going to get a decent amount of interviews. So I'm not saying either one is bad, but solely relying on that, solely relying on networking to get a job doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, just in the same way that solely relying on applying for jobs online wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So, this boot camp told me to do stuff like that, and it didn't really work out. So that is my take on these 4 beliefs for aspiring data scientists that are changing. Just to recap, the one is the machine learning, and that it's not everything and it's only a small part of the job. Second is skills needed, and that not only technical skills are important, but also people skills, social skills, soft skills as they call them, are important as well. And the third one is the education needed, which is, it doesn't really matter what your education is, provided you can provide value to the business. But that being said, you do need to have an understanding of how things work, especially in the domain or the industry. And being a domain expert or an industry expert in a particular industry, whether it be insurance or healthcare or crypto, I don't even know, like apps, software, anything, any particular business domain that you have a lot of expertise in, it's very helpful and can go a long way. And the last one is how to job hunt, and that just simply checking out your resume, passively checking out your resume online may not be the best, but is definitely not the only way to get a job. And that there are networking events and other things you can do and go to where you can meet new people and build trust and rapport with them to getting a job. Anyway, those have been the 4 takes, and this is just so you guys know, this is my new place. Well, I'm just renting the bedroom. I don't own the place by any means, but my new home in Tucson, Arizona. I'm out here on the northwest side, really liking it. There's a lot of cool stuff to do, a lot of mountains, deserts, and palm trees. All right, I'll see you in the next one. And, oh yeah, just another heads up, my next video is going to be, I know my voice and tone is very, like, kind of quiet and stuff, because I don't know, my landlord's probably still asleep and I'm trying to wake him up. But my next video that I'm going to release, actually I already recorded most of it. There's a lot of cussing, a lot of profanity, and a much more hyped up vibe. I don't think I've ever been that hyped up on my channel. So you're going to see something pretty interesting in the next video. Anyway, that's been it. Peace out.